Have you ever wondered how a global iconic brand could use a tool such as Power BI to become more efficient in its everyday procedures and processes? Stick around. We're going to be talking about that just today in this video of Power Money Monday. Welcome back to another video on the power of the BI. Welcome back to another video on the power of the BI. It is Power Money Monday. That's right, it's Power Money Monday. And in this episode today, in this video today, we are going to be talking about a global iconic brand. That global iconic brand is none other than Coca-Cola. That's right, that global iconic brand is none other than Coca-Cola. So here's the deal. Today, I am going to be showing you how to create a Power BI report, and we're going to be using simulated data. Again, we're going to be using simulated data that's very similar to data that could be used in an organization such as Coca-Cola. Here's the deal. The one thing I want to clarify up front, off top, is this. One, this video, this segment is not sponsored by Coca-Cola, but here's the deal. Mr. Coke, if you're out there and you're wanting to sponsor a video and you want to get behind Power of the BI, we are definitely more than open to speaking with you about that. So I just want to put that out there and put that in the atmosphere. But here's the deal. Again, this video, this is not a segment that is sponsored by Coca-Cola. I do not work for Coca-Cola. I do not contract for Coca-Cola. I don't think that I'm on a contract with Coca-Cola. So I'm going to definitely just say that. And I don't believe that I own any stock in Coca-Cola. I may or I may not. I'm not totally sure. But I don't think that I own any stock or have any funds that are associated with Coca-Cola. Now, the reason why I put all of that out there is because, again, we're going to be using data that's simulated data that myself and my team have created in order to build a Power BI report. We're also going to be using data from Yahoo Finance that is actual Coca-Cola stock information. It's actually Coca-Cola stock data. It's going to be data that's coming directly from Yahoo Finance. So here's the deal. I am not telling you to go out there and buy any Coca-Cola stock. I'm not telling you not to go out there and buy any Coca-Cola stock. This video is not about you going out and buying Coca-Cola stock or venturing into Coca-Cola brands and products. We are simply using this video as a means to create a Power BI report so that you would be able to create a Power BI report using a company that you're probably familiar with because it is a global iconic brand. Therefore, you will probably have more familiarity with being able to identify with some of the data sets that we're going to be using and understanding why we're using certain data sets for this particular company. That's the only reason why we're using Coca-Cola today in Power Money Monday, strictly as a means to show you how to create a Power BI report. With that said, we are going to be not only will I be showing you how to create a Power BI report, but I will be showing you steps in which to research in order to build a Power BI report. Those steps would include, one, going to the website, as we are right here, going to the website, seeing what the company is about. The reason why we do this is simply because oftentimes we'll receive a project or we'll be placed on a Power BI project and may not know anything about the company. The easiest thing to do is to go straight to the go straight to the database and then start trying to see what information is out there in the database. What type of tables are out there in the database? What are we going to be creating when we start creating our Power BI reports? What tables we're going to be bringing in? At the end of the day, I'll tell you. What I believe you should do first is research. Well, one, you're going to have meetings with the DBAs. Two, you'll probably be having meetings with the subject matter experts within the organization in which you are going to be contracted for, or the organization that you are working for that you're going to be contracting, well, that you'll be building the Power BI report for. If you're not working for the company, you probably don't know a whole lot about the company or know everything about the company. Or you probably never know everything about the company. But if you're not working for the company and you're contracting to build out the Power BI report, one thing you probably want to do first is go to the website, find out information about the organization. Go to the website, find out information about the organization, who they are, who are the key players, what do they do, what services do they provide, what products do they sell, okay? As we'll find out here, even with Coca-Cola, the first thing we do is we identify Coca-Cola as a soft drink or the beverage that we drink, right? Or that some people, well, I'm gonna say we, because I drink Coca-Cola. I like Coca-Cola, right? It's one of my favorite drinks, to be honest. As a matter of fact, you give me a, yeah, I'm not even talking about that. But anyway, so Coca-Cola is one of my favorite drinks. But when I think about Coke, I don't necessarily know about the other products that it sells. I have some idea because I've seen some things in the past, but not 100% totally sure about what other products that Coca-Cola had. They could have one other product. They could have 10, hundreds, maybe even 1,000 other products. I don't know. So with that said, go over to the website, see what is in the company that makes the company tick. Of course, what really makes the company tick is the bottom line. How do they make profit and how do they make revenue? And that'll give us some idea of, what this company does. What's the product, what products do they sell and what services do they sell? What do they offer, right? Go over to the website, do some research on your own. And then you'll be able to take that information back from the website that you are researching and then go back to the DBAs and say, hey, not necessarily DBAs, but the business analysts and say, hey, I saw this was on the website. Is this important for the Power BI report? I saw this on the website. Is this important for the Power BI report? And they may say, yeah. As a matter of fact, go over to the website and go to this particular page and you will see all of the things many of the things that you probably want to incorporate into the Power BI report. I'm telling you, the website is very, very, not necessarily critical or crucial, but it's very informative as to how you can begin building out the Power BI report. The next thing we're going to do after we go to the websites, we're going to find out about the investor relations. What makes the investors tick? What do Power BI? What do the organizations or an organization such as Coca-Cola would provide to the investors to say, hey, invest into Coca-Cola. You can make money, and this is how you can make money. Because at the end of the day, when you invest in something, that's what you're really looking back at. Can you make money in this particular venture? But the good thing about an organization like a global iconic brand such as Coca-Cola is it is a publicly traded company, right? And what does that mean? A publicly traded company simply means that you can buy stock in that company. The everyday individual can open up a brokerage account and buy stock in the company. Therefore, there's information that must be readily available to those investors. According to the SEC, which is the Securities and Exchange Commission, that information is provided on a quarterly and on a yearly basis, right? And if it's available on a quarterly basis, it's in a report called a 10Q, Q for quarter, right? It's available on a 10Q. I can't really say Q for quarter because K is an annual report and K don't stand for annual. But the 10Q report is the quarterly report, which means that report is provided 4 times a year. January, February, and March is the first quarter. March, April, and May is January, February, and March is the first quarter. April, May, and June is the second quarter. July, August, and September is the third quarter, and October, November, December is the fourth quarter. Now, that fourth quarter report typically is going to be the annual report. It's going to be the annual report. So it's the information that's provided to the investors on a quarter, or is it information that's provided to the investors on an annual basis. Now, with that said, the quarterly report, I don't believe is as stringent as the annual report. The quarterly report, I don't believe has to be audited, but the annual by an outside auditor. The annual report does have to be audited by an outside auditor, right? So that, all the information is given as requested by the SEC. Now, I'm not going to go too much deeper into the quarterly and the annual reports outside of those are the major differences between the quarterly and annual report. We may look at the quarterly report in this video. We may look at the annual report. Not sure yet. Depends on what's being provided and which one is the most easily accessible, right? But typically, when we're talking about investor reports and investor relations, when we're talking about Fortune 500 companies, typically all of those reports are accessible through the website. But we will see that here in a minute. with all of that said, let's get to moving through the website. We're not going to go very, very deep into the website. We're just going to go just deep enough so that we are able to see some of the things that are available for research purposes in the website. So as we are here at Coca-Cola.com, the first thing we get is, of course, in the upper left-hand corner, we get the logo. And I find that in most of the Fortune 500 reports and their websites, on most of the Fortune 500 companies on their websites, the logo is in the upper left-hand corner. The first thing you see when you see these websites is the logo. Therefore, I do believe that when you are creating a Power BI report, that you do need to incorporate the logo into that report, because that is the brand, that is the identity of that organization. And we want to make sure that what we provide, or we create a Power BI report, that we're providing something very similar to what they're used to seeing when it comes to their website. Even though a Power BI report is not a website, but it can be embedded into a website. But typically the end user, when they see a Power BI report, when they have access to it, it kind of gives them the make and feel of a website. Now, I'm going to come right over to the right, and well, let's scroll down the page first before we go down to the right. So let's see what Coca-Cola does. Let's see what Coca-Cola offers. So here we see offerings, and in offerings, we see we have enter for a chance to attend the Essence Festival of Culture with 2 girlfriends. So they've got a contest. You know, how many contests do they have? Are the contests part of the marketing? Of course, we know at Coca-Cola, marketing is huge, right? Marketing is huge when it comes to an organization such as Coca-Cola. And as we see here, they're marketing the girlfriends and the Essence, I believe the Essence Music Fest in New Orleans. Here we also see Bring the Juice, and they've got the WWE Superstars. I think is that Cody Rhodes? I believe that's Cody Rhodes. Let's see here. Dun, 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 dun. I think I made it too big, so I couldn't really see. Here we go. All right. I'm trying to see who these superstars are. I believe that is Cody Rhodes, and I'm not sure. It looks like Bianca Belair. I've seen this a couple of times with my son, but bottom line is what we see here is that the first thing that we see is that they are marketing. They're marketing heavy off top. They're marketing Sis on the Coca-Cola cans. They're marketing Minute Maid. So this is telling me here that Minute Maid is a product of Coca-Cola, and not only it's a product, and it's got Bring the Juice. So it's telling me here, well, I'm believing here that given that it's saying Bring the Juice, that Minute Maid is part of a juice category. It's part of a category under juice under. It's in the juice category. I'm slow here. We also have another feature. We've got Obey Your Thirst with Sprite. So off top, it's not just Coca-Cola. We've got Minute Maid, and we have Minute Maid, and we have Sprite when it comes to Coca-Cola. So, you know, at that point, I'm asking myself, you know, what are the other categories that are offered within Coca-Cola? I know we've got Sprite that's going to fall under the same under the same category, whether it be soda or whatever they want to call it. And then we've got juices with Minute Maid, but are there any other juices? Are there any other sodas? Then we've got a water brand. We got the vitamin water brand. So now we're seeing, hey, Coca-Cola is definitely bigger than just Coca-Cola. It is several other products. We know it's vitamin water, we know it's Sprite, and we know that it's Minute Maid. So, but those fall under the categories of sodas, as categories of juices, and categories of water. What are there any other categories? So at the end of the day, now we're able to go through and we're asking ourselves these types of questions. Then it says explore our brands. So now we know we got the Coca-Cola brand, we've got the Diet Coke brand. So now we've got the regular Coke and we've got Diet Coke, and they're placing those in their different brands. And then we've got Sprite, and we're also showing Fanta. We've got Smart Water and Minute Maid. I mean, what does Fanta fall under? Does Fanta fall under juices, or does it fall under sodas? Does it fall under under waters? I don't believe it falls under water. But we just go down and we just keep looking. So we've got Coca-Cola, Coke, Sprite, Fanta, Smart Water, Minute Maid, We got vitamin water, Simply. What is Simply? Simply, is that a water or is that a juice? I'm not sure. Gold Peak. We know that Gold Peak is a tea. So now is Gold Peak as a tea going to fall into waters, juices, sodas, or is tea a whole other category? I'm not sure. Now we're able to write down and we're able to jot down questions that we could have for our business analysts as we are going through here. So we got Dasani, we got another water, AHA. What exactly is AHA? Topo Chico, is that a water or is that a soda? I know it's sparkling, but I'm not quite sure. Seagram's, then there's gin. Is that Seagram's gin or Seagram's orange juice? I don't know, right? But at the end of the day, now we see that there's more to Coca-Cola than just the soda itself. Lemonade, High C, Moxie. What is this? Is that Tummy Yummies? I mean, there's a lot to Coca-Cola when it comes to brands, right? Let's come over. Let's see Discover. What's under the Discover label? What's under the Discover brand? Let's see. Let's go here and U+1. Again, now we've got more marketing. Coca-Cola is huge on marketing. I believe Coca-Cola is one of probably the best marketers, marketing organizations in the world when it comes to Fortune 500 companies. Not totally sure. That's just my personal opinion. Impact. What is the impact that Coca-Cola has on social? And I can't really read that, but let's go to social. So social impact, right? This could be something that may be needed or wanted or great to be on a Power BI report, but it just depends on what type of data is associated with this. Because when we start talking about social impact and how Coca-Cola is impacting the culture or impacting the communities, we've got to have data in order to validate that this is actually so. So, do they want to see this in a Power BI report? Not necessarily sure, but they could. We aspire to reflect the markets we serve. They aspire to reflect the markets they serve. But again, where is the data that shows us that they are impacting these markets, right? And that they're serving. So these are questions. Is this data in the database or is this data in spreadsheets somewhere? We need to know where this data is if this is data that they want to see on their Power BI reports. Then, of course, we got careers. We're not going to go too much into careers. We're going to go into media centers. What are the media centers? Here we see that Coca-Cola Board of Directors. So basically now we're getting information that's provided either to the media or by them, to the media from Coca-Cola, or has been provided by the media to Coca-Cola. So either the information provided to the media by Coca-Cola or provided by the media to Coca-Cola. So we've got different reports. We've got the Coca-Cola Board of Directors declares regular quarterly dividends. So now we're talking about information in that quarterly report that we were talking about, that I was speaking about earlier. Coca-Cola reports first quarter 2025 results. So this tells us that this is the first quarter result of 2025, that 10Q report for 2025. Given that this is May, that first quarter report now has been provided I'm assuming to the SEC, probably to the board of directors, whomever they provide that information to. It's been provided in the first quarter report. Powerade unveils new campaign featuring Lamine Yamal and Rodrigo goes to celebrate the power of pause. Again, this goes into that marketing that Coca-Cola does. I mean, these guys are crazy big when it comes to actually marketing their product. Who does not know the Coca-Cola brand? Who does not? I mean, during the Olympics, even during the Olympics, when the Olympics are in other countries around the world, the Coca-Cola brand is recognized in the different commercials. Now, from what I understand, I'm not totally sure, but from what I understand, you know what? I do know that I know that the Coca-Cola ingredients are slightly different for different parts of the world, because I've gone to the Coca-Cola Museum. I have gone to the Coca-Cola Museum. I had a great time. Not necessarily marketing for that particular event, but I guess I am. I did go to the Coca-Cola Museum not long ago in Atlanta, and had a chance to taste some of the Coca-Cola, let's say ingredients, but it's not called ingredients. What is it called? The the formulas, the different Coca-Cola formulas for different Cokes from around the world. Some of them I like, some I thought were a little different, but I mean, when you're used to one particular taste, you're used to that. I'm used to that particular taste. I'm not. I guess I can tell you, I'm not I'm not really well versed of international travel. But anyway, that's the information that we will be looking for, or types of information that we will be looking for when we go through a website to do research. Of course, you will go a lot more. You'll jot down your notes and really get your details as to what questions you would have to ask in regards to the website or where to get the data from. But this is the starting point. So the next thing we're going to do, as we see here, as far as the next tab, we will go over to the investors report, over to investors, and we will look to see if we are able to find the investor relations report for either the 10K report or the 10Q report. So as you see, we are here on the still on the homepage of Coca-Cola. And now what we are going to do is we are going to go over into investors, where we are now. We just came over to the investors page, and I will come back just to show you exactly what we did here. So here on the home page, we came all the way over. We looked at some of the pages here on the home page, but the page that we're going to now is going to be the investors report. Let's see here. So we are over here on investor relations, and what I am going to do, the one thing I like about the Coca-Cola website is, and it may be with several other sites, I haven't really paid it any attention to other sites that I've done the Power of Money Mondays for, and it's probably there, but I see here on the Coca-Cola site, I'm able to go over to investor relations and then go into pull the Power BI report up as an HTML file as opposed to a PDF. Previously, in other Power of Money Monday reports, I would pull the PDF up as to research, but they've got it in the HTML format as well. I'm going to see if I can make it a little bigger as an HTML, and I can, which I like, because with the PDF I wasn't able to do so easily. So with that said, again, one way to research, and these are not the only ways to research. These are just the ways that I'm showing here in these videos and in Power Money Mondays. Is what I like to use, but please don't limit yourself to this only being the only way for you to research for a company. So as you can see here, we've got Coca-Cola is the form 10Q. Again, Q is for quarterly, K is for annually. It's 4 quarters in a year. The fourth quarter is typically the annual report. Then it would be a 10K report as opposed to a 10Q. The 10K encompasses everything that happens over the entire year. The reporting requirements are a lot more stringent than the requirements for the 10Q report. But with that said, we are here on the 10Q. We're not going to go super deep, because we are not going to be creating a financial document, balance sheet, income statement, all that stuff. But we will see that information here in the 10Q. But the reason why I like to go through the 10Q and i.e. 10K is because we may get some insight as to some additional information that we may be looking for inside of the database, which is where we are going to be pulling the information from. So we're on the 10Q. We're just going through seeing what's in here, basic information. We've got the subsidiaries and the table of contents that are here, and we could go down and we could find each one of the elements in the table of contents, but that's not what we're going to do. I'm just going to go through, relatively quickly, and just to show you what is here in the 10Q report. We've got the Coca-Cola Company and its subsidiaries, consolidated statements of income. The first thing that tells me is Coca-Cola Company and its subsidiaries. So there are some subsidiaries. So are those subsidiaries going to be included in the report? Do we need to include the subsidiary information in the reports, or in the reports, or is the subsidiary information already included financially and under other database tables? Are those subsidiaries already included? That's information that I would ask the business analyst to give me some insight to. Let's see here. Dun, 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 dun. And now we come to so I'm hearing somebody in my house. Let's see here. We come to dun, 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 dun. Okay. So we are here and we are going to look at the 10Q report here for Coca-Cola, and we're getting the profit, income, expenses per share. So we are not going to use, we're not going to use all of this information here in the report. Well, we're not going to use this information here in the Power BI report because it gets a little bit more complicated when we start building out the income statement, balance sheet, and the financial statements, but that is okay. Just for the simple fact that it can be done. I do plan to create a report just for balance sheets, financial statements, income statements to show you how it's done, but not in this particular report. This report is primarily going to be based or built upon Coca-Cola itself. The financial information that we're going to be using for Coca-Cola is going to be coming from Yahoo Finance, which is basically just the stock information, stock data, over the course of the last 365 days, but we're not going to be building any income statements, balance sheets, financial statements, anything like that from that information. So as we are moving through here and looking at the information that is provided for Coca-Cola, we are just seeing here that we got a lot of financial information for the 10K, the 10Q, well, for the 10Q, marketable securities, That's not anything that's really jumping out at me here. Available for sale securities, trading securities. Basically, this is security information here in this particular area here in the investor report, inventories. What do they have for inventories? Finished goods. What's included in the finished goods? That should be in a table somewhere. Foreign currency contracts, commodity contracts. So again, we're still looking at securities, and those different types of instruments. Let's see here. Are we going to find anything here that we may want to use for the Power BI report? Let's see. Legal, concentration of credit risk, guarantees. Nothing that I see here is jumping out at me that will be needed for the balance for the Power BI report. Foreign currency, and of course we know that Coca-Cola is a huge global iconic brand. So foreign currency is definitely something that would jump out at me. But given that we're not building out the financial database or the financial reporting for this particular entity or company right now, I'm not too concerned. Dividends, company, dividends, non-recurring, recurring, let's see, divestitures, purchases. Now the divestitures, I'm not totally sure as to what that is, but I know that it's dealing more on the financial side, amortization. So I'm not seeing a whole lot when it comes to, I was really looking for like products and markets and things like that to see if any of that popped out at me. Cost of goods sold, what are the goods that are sold? Other income, where did that income come from? So they're not, so this is pretty much a summary of everything that they're doing. But we do see here they've got worldwide, European, Middle East, and Africa, Latin America. So these are places that the Coca-Cola brand definitely are realized. Europe, Middle East, and Africa, Latin America, North America, Asia, bottling investments. This is percent. What does that say? I can't really read that. Let's go back. Made it too small. Yeah, made it too small. percent change. Okay, percent change 2025 versus 2024. Okay, so we're getting a percent change between these different regions, but we do know we have regions, of course. So that's definitely something we want to try to see if we can include it, regions and locations within our Power BI report to see to get some information about each one of those regions. Again, we are not going to be using this information because this is, well, not because, but this is information that is actual information in the Coca-Cola 10Q report. Definitely public because it's on their website. So it's not anything that we're stealing or we're getting inside information. But the Power BI report, again, the data sets that we're going to be using within the Power BI report will be simulated data that myself and my team created to build out data sets similar to what would be used in a company such as a Coca-Cola. The data sets that we'll be using in regards to the stock data is data that we are bringing in from Yahoo Finance. Let's see here. Boom, 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 boom. And we will call, so we're here at the end of the report. We will call that at the end of the report. So at the end of the day, this is the information that we went through in order to see what what Coca-Cola was saying about their investor relations, was saying to their investors. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go over to Yahoo Finance and we're going to look at some of the stock information about Coca-Cola over in Yahoo Finance. So as you can see, well, you can't see because I haven't brought it over. So let me bring it over so you can see. We're over here on Yahoo Finance. I've pulled up Coca-Cola, which is currently trading at $1,145.02 per share. As of this recording, this will not be the same information that will be in the Power BI report because I've already pulled a Power BI report down from a couple of days ago, but it's going to be very similar, so it's not anything to like get alarmed about. Now, again, one thing that I want to highly emphasize again is I do not own. I'm not sure. I don't think I own any shares in Coke, so I don't want you to think that I'm encouraging to go out and buy Coca-Cola stock. I'm not encouraging you not to. I'm just saying, hey, this is not a trading video and me giving advice on trading. Two is I don't have my microphone where it needs to be, so you may or you may not be able to hear me. Not necessarily sure, but I'm gonna put it on here. Let's see, give me 1 second. I do apologize. Normally I'll do my testing 1 2 3 4, testing 1 2 3, but I didn't on this particular case. So we're over here on the Microsoft website, and well, on the Microsoft, but on the Yahoo website. Again, what I want to emphasize is that I do not, I don't think I own any Coke. I may own some in a mutual fund or two, not necessarily sure, but I don't think I own any Coke stock. This is not a Coke, this is not me giving you any instructions or advising you to go buy Coca-Cola stock. That's not what we're here for. We're here to learn how to create a Power BI report, but we are going to be using stock information here in this particular Power BI report. So I'm using the information from Yahoo Finance. Again, the information that we are using, the data that we're going to be using is not going to be current as of this particular date, because the stock information I pulled down was from a few days ago, 2 or 3 days ago, not necessarily sure what day it was. But as of today, the stock is currently trading at $1,145.02 per share. And this is just another way to go in and do some research when we are creating a Power BI report and we want to include some stock information, or if we just want to do some research just to see what is really going on within the organization and how investors are viewing it. We've already looked at the website, which gives us information as to how Coca-Cola wants to give information out or wants the company to be perceived to the general public. We've done research inside investor relations and looked at the 10Q report to see how Coca-Cola is portraying the company to look from an investor standpoint. And then from an everyday stock investor, where everyday investor, everyday researcher looking at stock information, we're looking at it now from the standpoint of Yahoo Finance. So what I am going to do is just go through here relatively quickly, just to show you, some of the information that you'll be able to grab from Yahoo Finance. You can come in, you can look at recent news articles that are news information by the media, not necessarily news articles, but information provided by the media or that's been presented to the media about Coca-Cola. Performance overview here, and this is all on the homepage of Yahoo Finance for Coke. No, not necessarily the homepage, but the summary for Coke on Yahoo Finance. Then there is the news, where we could come in and we can get information on the news of what's going on inside of Coke. And we see that Coke consolidated reports first quarter 2025 results. That is what we looked at initially, or just a few moments ago, when we looked at the 10Q report. That was the first quarter report of 2025. Billionaire eyes are shifting to one major investment. Is that Coca-Cola? Not sure, but if I had to guess, and we're on the summary page of Coca-Cola, I would believe that it probably is. But, again, this is information that you can use to do some research. Coca-Cola Consolidated Inc. releases first quarter 2025 reports, announced the second quarter dividend. So basically here we are getting what's inside the news for Coke. Now, we come over and we can look at the chart for Coke, for the current stock chart for Coke. We're not going to create a stock chart. We can create a stock chart, but we're not going to create a stock chart. This chart is already created over here in Yahoo Finance. So there's really no need to recreate this unless you are given some instructions or being requested to do so by your client to build out a stock report. And you can almost use Yahoo Finance as a cheat sheet if you wanted to build out that report. The only thing about a stock chart is, of course, here on Yahoo Finance, it's built here by the hour. Power BI, we can build it out by the hour. It takes a little bit of work to make that happen, but on average, you'd be looking by month, even maybe down to the week. You can get it down to the day, but when you started looking at it by hour of the day, by the minute of the day, it gets kind of tricky trying to create a line chart such as this within Power BI. It is possible. I don't necessarily recommend it because it becomes a lot of information, but if it's requested, that's what's requested. So that is what you probably should do. Community information about Coke. Let's see. That's shareholder. Let's see, community. Skip one. And we see here under community information where we have just information in regards to communications between individuals that's on speaking on Coke and Coke behalf here, maybe not even on Coke behalf, but in regards to Coke, just different comments when it comes to Coke and its stock and its financial reporting. We can come down to shareholders information, and again, we've seen a lot of shareholders information when it comes to the finance end, because when we were looking at the investor report, the investor relations, the 10Q report, we had pretty much most of this information that was provided here as well. But here is more of a summary and overview of what was in there, information, valuations and measures, or evaluation measures. The market cap, I believe the market cap is the outstanding stock, the outstanding, I think it's the common stock, times the actual value of the stock, which gives you the total, which would be the market cap. And then we've got the enterprise value, not necessarily sure what that is, trailing PE, which is the price earnings, the forward price earnings, the PEG ratio, the price per sales, price per stock, enterprise value. I'm not going to go too deep into all of this, the EBITDA, because we're not necessarily going to be building out the financial data, the financial tables. We could use this information if we wanted to bring it in, and we could show this information just as it's being shown here. Typically, the customer is not asking for this, but the customer can ask for you to recreate this information to be on the Power BI report. Again, what I would say is data. So don't let that alarm you, don't let that fool you, don't let that scare you. It's just data. So you will find the tables where this information is in, and we will bring that data into your Power BI report. Here, this is the information that we are going to be bringing into the Power BI report. It's the stock information over the last 365 days. Today is May 3rd. So we will be looking back from May 3rd, 2025, which is today. We will go all the way back to, I believe it would be May 4th of 2024. Let's just double check. May 3rd, 2024. So we're going back from May 3rd, 2025 to May 3rd, 2024. And we can see here, May 3rd, 2024, the stock was at $8.50 per share. May 8th, it was at $1,000. We've got ranges of $800, $900, $1,000 per share over the last year or so. And then when we get to 2025, we see that it's at $11.45 per share, which does not look real bad. It looks pretty good over the course of 365 days. Of course, it was down over the last day or so, $48.03, which is minus 4.03% over the last day. But when I look back at 365 days compared to the last day, I believe that is doing pretty good. The data we're going to be bringing in is the date of the stock, the open price, the high, the low, the close, the adjusted close, and the volume. The volume is the number of outstanding shares of the stock, I do believe. So with that said, we are going to use this information to bring into our Power BI report. So we now have looked at three means of research, one being the website, two being investor relations, and three being Yahoo Finance, and researching the historical data of the stock. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go over to Power BI. We're going to start creating the Power BI report, bringing this data in and creating a Power BI report for the global icon of Coca-Cola. So here we are over in our Power BI report. We are starting in the model view. At this point, we're just building out the structure for the model view. We're bringing in all of the tables and organizing the tables so that we can build out our star schema. As you know, with Power BI and building out the model view, Power BI is built on the star schema. I like to organize my model view as best as I can in the very beginning, so that if there is an issue and interaction is not cooperating in the report view, I can jump right in and see what that really looks like, or what the issue could potentially be as we are building, as the model has been built out correctly. We're gonna have a lot of fun in this report. We're gonna have a lot of fun with this report because there's a lot of information that we have. There's a lot of tables, there's a lot of tables to the data set that we are using. I typically don't bring in this many tables for a report, but I know that there's a lot of information that we can use here for Coca-Cola being a global icon, or a company such as Coca-Cola being a global icon, the logo being a global icon, to where it's going to make it fun to build out this report. I want to say we may have anywhere from 12 to 15 tables. I don't remember counting, but I think we may have somewhere between 12 and 15 tables. We'll try to count as we are building out the models here. I do know we have the stock table, the stock information. We've got the transaction, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 tables. We're looking, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 tables that I'm counting here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 13, 14, 15, probably about 17 tables, I believe, somewhere around there, 17, 18 tables that we're bringing into this report. which is going to give us an opportunity to make a pretty good Power BI report. I believe we'll be able to make more than just the one-page report as we normally do, but not necessarily totally sure just yet how we're going to build out or finish out this report. But you know, we're talking about a company such as Coca-Cola and being a global icon, a global conglomerate. There's several things we could look at. We could look at sales, we could look at operations, we could look at management, we could look at marketing. And as I said before, early on, Coca-Cola is, their marketing game is through the roof. The marketing game is off the chain. So I believe what we're definitely going to try to look at some of the marketing when it comes to creating a Power BI report as well for this organization or an organization such as this. Right now, we are just going through and making sure that all of the tables in the data view all have the headers are all named correctly. It looks here that as if with these headers being column 1, column 2, that we are going to have to go in and make some transformations. Here looks like all the table headers are correct. These table headers are correct. Table headers here are correct. When I say correct, they actually have a name as opposed to just having column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4. That means that the table, the actual column headers came in, but they came in as part of the column as opposed to being as the title of or the header of the column. So we're gonna have to go through and make some transformations in order to make sure all of those headers are, all the headers that have column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4 actually have header names, such as here, column 1, column 2, column 3. We actually need to have actual header names as opposed to having column 1, column 2, column 3. Now, column 1, column 2, column 3, same scenario. We've got column 1, column 2. The date calendar, the date table, date looks like, the stock table, column 1, column 2 appears to be the customer table. So we're going to go to transform data. We're going to come back and we are going to transform these column headers. And of course, what we're going to do is use a first row as header. As we see here in the customer table, we've got customer ID, customer name, region, and customer type. We are going to go over and we're going to use first row as headers, and now those headers are correct. We see that we've got the text for each one of these columns: region, customer type, customer name. Here the inventory appears to be correct. These headers are all good. Inventory, product, warehouse. Let's see here, we've got this table appears to be, see, campaign ID, name, start date. We can tell we got the calendar logo, calendar icon, so we know that start date and end date are calendar dates. We come back in, again, we've got column 1, column 2, column 3, that's the region table. So what we are going to do is use first row as header. That change is made, and now those headers are correct. Come back over and we have this table is good. Column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4, product table. We need to use first row as header, and now we've got the first row as header and product ID, name, category, and package type. Column 1, column 2, column 3 for regions. We need to go back and we need to use first row as headers again. So we're going to use first row as headers, and we're going to change column 1, column 2, and column 3 header names to region ID, region name, and country. And as you will see, each one of those header name type, data types are going to be text. Here, this appears to be customer ID, and that one is good. Column 1, column 2, column 3 for the warehouse table. We need to go in and we need to use first row as headers. We will do so. We will change the first row as headers, and now the column header names are correct. We come back down and we see state, abbreviation, and that is correct. We've got region, abbreviation, that appears to be correct. Product name, Coke, that appears to be correct. State, that appears to be correct. State. And basically why you're seeing so many states is that we've got different countries. We've got tables of countries here. So we've got some of the countries have states as headers and some have province as headers. And those appear to be correct. Customer ID, we're good. Just going back, double checking. Inventory, we're good. Campaign, we're good. Plant, we're good. Product, plant, we're good. Product name. Region ID, region name, country, we're good. Sales, we're good. Warehouse, we appear to be good. State, here, we're good. Region, here, we're good. And product name, okay, we're good. State, abbreviation, we're good. State, abbreviation, we're good. Province, territory, abbreviation, we're good. And state, date. We are good there as well. So we come back, we're going to click apply and close, which is going to transform all the tables. The transformations were made. Now we can see that we have automatic links. As I said before in other videos, Power BI oftentimes, once all the headers are incorrect, are in the report correctly, Power BI in the model view will try to go in and associate the columns to columns, the headers to headers within each one of those tables. I don't like to use that because sometimes it's right and sometimes it's wrong. We have so many tables here that we don't want to take a chance that the ones that we're going to leave everything here and, there could be some mistakes. So what I did here is I deleted all of the relationships and I'm going to go back and I'm going to create the relationships. The recreation of the relationships could be recreating the same relationships, but I didn't want to take a chance on one relationship being bad and the other, let's just say 15 relationships are good, because that could throw the whole report off. Oh man, a little tired. So as we are here, we are going through each one of the tables. I'm just trying to create some real estate so that we can have enough room to put all the tables in. We got a many to one relationship there. I really don't want to use a many to one, but when we're building our Power BI relationships here in the model view, we can either use one to many relationships, many to one relationships, or one to one relationships. I like using one to many relationships. One to many and many to many, one to many and many to one pretty much gives you the same thing, but I just like for my relationships to be one to many. And here we see that the transactions is one to many because it's one customer for many transactions. Just trying to go through here and see which of these tables have the same headers so that we can get an idea of what relationships are built where. Here we've got a one to many, so that one's going to be good. Warehouses to inventory is going to be one to many. We're going to bring the warehouses over closer to the inventory. We're going to move the measures table up because we're not going to relate that measures table anywhere because the measures is basically a calculations or the formulas that we're using. Let's see here, just getting a better idea of where all the tables are, which tables have what columns or what headers, so that we can be sure to build those relationships. So here in the region, well, product, batches, what are we connecting regions to? Region's going to have region ID. What else is going to have a region ID? We've got region ID. We'll go to one to many is good to plants. So region to plants is going to be one to many on region ID. Let's see here. We have just trying to see what other relationships we can create that I can see real fast. Come over to the data view and look at the different tables and the columns, and I see here, okay, region ID. So I am going to, plant ID to plant ID is going to be one to many from plants to production batches. Let's see, what else can we create here? Because we're trying to build out the star schema. We don't really know what's going to be the center of the star until probably we get closer to halfway having everything done or relationships built. Let's see, production ID to, well, product ID to product ID, that's a many to one. I'm going to cancel that one. I'm going to come back and I'm going to do product ID from products to product ID in sales transactions, which gives me a one to many relationship. Let's see. Let's see. Just gonna move this around just a little bit so we can get a better idea. Inventory, product ID to sales transactions, product ID. That's a many to many relationship. We don't want a many to many relationship. In some cases, a many to many relationship could work in some cases. But in most cases it doesn't. So I try very seldom to use a many to many relationship. Just getting a better idea of our real estate here for the model view. Customer ID. Let's see, product ID to product ID in the sales transaction, customer ID to customer ID from sales transactions to customers. Let's see. That looks a little bit better. That could have stayed where it was, but I'm just, I like the look itself. I like to have a pretty picture, for lack of any better term. Okay, so we've got product ID to product ID, which is many to many. We don't want that many to many relationship from product ID and to sales transaction, but we got products to production is one to many. So we do want that product ID to production batches. Product ID gives you a one to many relationship. I don't like for my relationships to cross over or intersect, but you know, you can't really help that all the time, especially when you have several tables. So we're going to try as best we can to not have our relationships to intersect. I can't promise that that's what's going to not happen, but that's what the overall goal is. That's what the intent is. Just getting the measures out the way. I'm not going to necessarily need the measures here in the model view. Product ID, many to one. So we're going to cancel that, and we're going to say products, product ID to marketing case, marketing, product ID, and that's going to give us a one to many. Again, the many to one relationships, it's not bad. It works. They work. but I prefer to do mine with a one-to-many relationship as opposed to a many-to-one. Again, we like to use one-to-many, one-to-one, one-to-many, many-to-one, or a one-to-one relationship when creating our relationships in the model view. Okay, we got our Coke stock. Okay, our plants, our regions. Yeah, not really gonna need that measure. That measure is not gonna be related to anything. Let's come back over to our tables. Inside the data view, it gives us a better picture of what is actually inside of these tables. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so we have state abbreviation, Coke, Pepsi, that's our taste test. Let's see, province, territory, state abbreviations. Okay, we're gonna bring in our taste test Brazil, taste test Canada, taste test Japan, taste test Mexico, taste test UK, taste test USA. And if the way I pronounce Mexico is not Mexico, please let me know. I don't mean to be disrespectful, just me practicing my Spanish. Taste test Brazil, taste test Mexico, taste test Canada, taste test USA. Let's see, put that right here. Taste test Japan, taste test United Kingdom. So here now we are pretty much wrapping up creating the model view. And now we're going to go over and we're going to get ready to start building out the report. But we want to do a couple of things. We want to double check what we have as far as the center to star, the relationships inside of the model view. Make sure the model view is clean so that if we need to go back and make some changes with the model view, we will be able to. We were able to, so we see here we have, we're trying to get no intersections between relationships. It looks like we are pretty clean here where we don't have any relationships, any intersecting relationships, so that we've got a direct relationship going to each one of the tables in the model view. Reason why that is important is because we want to be able to not get confused if we need to come over and make some changes. So if we have here, we're just double checking product ID, marketing, product ID to product ID, product ID to product ID. Let's see, date ID to date ID, customer ID to customer ID. Just checking the tables now just to make sure, product ID to product ID, making sure they're going to the same header, warehouse ID to warehouse ID. Let's see here, product. Okay, we come over to the report view, and of course, the first visualization I like to bring in is a table visualization. There's no rhyme or reason why I like to bring the table visualization in first. I just do. I like to have a visualization on the board. The visualization that I typically create first is the table visual. I I would say that normally I would like to bring in the data from the table that's at the center of the star schema first. Again, there is no rhyme or reason. It just gives me a feel of the report page. So then I can start building out the report page from there. Again, I want to be very, very clear. There's no rhyme or reason why I choose the table visual. It could be, you could use any visual, whichever visual was good for you. In this particular case here, I chose the table visual. I'm bringing in some cards. I brought in one card, I sized it one way or gave it a size, and then I made 3 copies of it because I know that I want to use those 4 cards. I haven't in the past brought in the stock information initially or in the early ons of the project, but in this particular case, I do know that I want to bring in the stock information. I've got my own style of Power BI report that I like to build. I've started to make a few changes as to how I like to see it, and the stock information is something that I'm getting very accustomed to bringing in. And since I know I want to use the stock information, I'm going to go ahead on and bring in that stock information. So in the first card, I brought in the open price. The second card, I brought in the high of the day price. The third card I brought in was the low price. The fourth card I brought in was the close price. And now what I'm trying to see here, the open does not appear to be the data type does not appear to be in decimal format. So what I want to do is go in and make that transformation, make that format a decimal format so that we can add, subtract, multiply, just data aggregation with that. So I see the open, I see here that it's in text because the ABC is in the top left corner of the open column. So I just made that change to make it a decimal, which is the 1.2. I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna hit close and apply. And that change should be made. We're gonna see it's loading, it's okay, it's working, the changes have been made. There may be an error too somewhere. We can find the errors later on, but right now we see that data type has been changed. So now see the open, what I want to do now is I want to change it to average price, not a sum, because the way we had it initially was it was summing the entire column, but now we want to make sure we use use average as the aggregation, so that it will give us the average price, which would actually be the actual price of that particular day's open. The average right now is showing the average of the entire column. I'm getting a little echo here. Let me turn this down a little bit. The average is showing the average of the entire column. So we're going back. So we're averaging the entire column initially, but what we are going to do is we'll bring in a date slider. And when we bring in that date slider, that date is going to give us the average of that day, the average days open. And of course, there's only one open for the day. So it's going to average for that days open is going to be that open. The average for that day's high is only one high. So it's going to give us that high. And the average for that low, again, it's going to only be one low. So, and it's same for the close. There's only be one close. So it's going to give us the average, which is going to be the actual low, and going to give us the actual close. And then the average volume, again, the average volume for the entire column of volume is going to show us one price. But if we bring in this date slider, now we can choose a date range, and it's giving us the average price per the date range. And it's given the average open, the average high, the average low, the average close, and the average volume per the date range. If we pick one particular day, it will give us that actual information. If we select a range of days, as we have here in the date slider, it's going to give us an average of that date range. Now, another thing that I did in a previous video was bringing in the gauge visual and using the stock information for the gauge visual. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that for the gauge visual, the low is going to be the initial or the minimum, the high is going to be the maximum, and I want to say use the open for the actual value of the gauge. And by doing this, I'll be able to get rid of the cards, because as you already know, I don't like to use I don't like to use multiple visuals to show the same information. If the gauge is showing us the high, low, close, and open of the stock prices, there's no need to have a card that's saying the same thing, because now at that point you'll just be wasting real estate, wasting page real estate. And you know how I feel about real estate. So now what we're doing is we're just trying to get sizing, get a feel for the real estate. We've got the gauge, we've got the slider. Now we're just trying to see what the spacing actually looks and feels like here on the Power BI report. Coming back over to the model view, just double checking the model, making sure that the relationships are accurate, going back and comparing it back to the interactions between the visuals, which would the current visuals being the date slider and the gauge, bringing in another visual, bringing in a slicer. It could be a drop down slicer. It could be a list slicer. Here we've got it as a list, and basically I just want to bring in the list slicer, and I want to select different items from the list to see if the visual is changing. And our table visual is changing, which tells us that the relationship between the data in the slider and the data in the table, the interaction is correct. We are not going to get changes in the gauge, because the gauge is all stock information. So the slicer, the drop down slicer, is not related to the information in the slicer is not related to the information in the data in the slicer is not related to the data in the table or the data in the list slicer, for the simple fact that the list slicer and the table is talking about products and product ID and juices and energy drinks and sodas and waters and stuff like that. Whereas the gauge is only indicating stock information. So we see here we've got count of products, and we brought in another visual, a card visual. So now when we select water, we see that we get all the water in the table, and we see that the count of water is going to be 25 when we so now we're going to remove the table, we're going to remove the table, and now we're going to bring in another table. But what we're going to do is we're going to bring in, rather than a table, we selected look like we still selected a table, but we're just going to select different data instead of the data from the product. Now we're going to use the transaction table. And using this transaction table, we see we've got date ID. So of course, when we select, when we choose date, that date in the table should interact with the date in the date in for the stocks, but we may not have used the same date. We may not have used the global date calendar. If we did not use the global date calendar, the date in the table for the transaction table is not going to change, but that is something that we can look at here a little later on Now we bring in the category again, and we see that the categories again are changing. As we change categories, energy drink, the table information is changing as well as it did when we were selecting information in the product. So we're going to select another card, and in this card, we want to get a good look and feel, and we're going to bring in account. And now we see that we've got a count of water. So we're counting the number of items that are water or whatever the category is. We see that that category is interacting and is related to the card and related to the table. We can make some changes here as we see some of the items when we select or deselect, we may get none or we may get a blank. And of course, we don't want to show blank on our Power BI report. So that's going to come down to us formatting some things here as when we get ready to close out the project, when we get ready to start formatting. That is something that we may want to do as we are formatting different visuals, is seeing that this card does not show blank. It always shows 0 when it is blank. It's not uncommon. It's something that happens all the time. It's just a matter of creating a measure in order to make it work. So now we're just trying to get some real estate going, trying to see, what looks good where. And I would say why, but when I start saying why, it really leads into a whole nother conversation. I don't like to close the table visual so much to the point to where you have to scroll left or right. It's okay scrolling up and down because you can have a lot of information. And in most cases, when you're talking about big data, you're going to have a lot of information. But for the most part, I don't like to scroll left and right. I don't mind scrolling up and down. Here we brought in a new visual that we haven't used yet, and this visual is a matrix visual. Basically with the matrix is very, very similar to the table visual. The matrix is very similar to the table visual. However, with the matrix, what we're able to do is we're able to minimize and expand categories. We're able to minimize and expand categories. So we can choose a category such as energy drink, and then we can expand that category of energy drinks or whatever else we're looking for. So here we are going to look to see sales transactions. We're just trying to see what's in this particular table to get some idea of what we want to add to the sales category. So we see, into the product category. So we see here we've got category energy drink, and then we've got product type. So, which one of these is really what I would call a master item. I'm going to bring in product name, because if I say category, under category, we're going to have product names. So we don't have actual names here because, again, this is not Coca-Cola. This is not a real data set for Coca-Cola. This is only a simulated data set based on a company such as Coca-Cola. But here, what we're going to do is we see here that the value, what we want to bring in for the value is going to be a sum of revenue. And it's going to be the revenue for that particular entity that we're bringing in. So we've got category. What's the category? The category is bottle, can, carton, and one other category. I can't, is that fountain? Must be a fountain drink. So we have under the categories, we have bottle, can, fountain drinks, and cartons. And then we have the quantity of those items, and we have the revenue of those items. And as I said before, even with the matrix, I don't like to scroll left and right, just like with the table. I like to scroll up and down. And of course, again, when we're talking about big data, there could be instances where you need to scroll up and down. So now it's a matter of aesthetics in real estate. What's going to make this thing more aesthetically pleasing? Now, one thing, again, what I said was here, we got the minimize and expand button. So when we're looking at the matrix, we can minimize and expand the categories. And basically that can save us some real estate. So we can make this thing as big or as small as we want to make it. Or we can see as much or as little information as we want to see. But at this point now, we're looking at a matrix. It's a matter of, how do we want to situate this thing as far as real estate? The major difference between the table and the matrix visual is that the table does not expand. It does not minimize or maximize or minimize in category. So if we were to bring all the same data into the table visual, we could make it the same height, but we would not be able to minimize or maximize. Whereas now we have a minimized, every category is minimized here in the matrix visual. Now we're coming back and we're maximizing it. So this could be a kind of cool look within the matrix, within this Power BI report, to use a matrix visual, totally expanded. And if we wanted to, we can minimize the entire visual. We can minimize the entire visual if that is what we were so deemed to do so. We still have our card here to where we are able to count the products. We've got a table down. We can select from our list slicer, and we see that the list slicer is interacting with the card, is interacting with the table, and is interacting with the matrix visual. Again, it's not interacting with the slider because it's not a date, and it's not interacting with the stocks because it's not stocks. Again, if we use the global date slide, if we used our global date calendar, and we replace the slider, the date slider that's being used for the gaze visual for the stock, we would be able to see the interactions by day of the stock, the table visual, the matrix visual, and the count of products in the card visual. But at this point, we still haven't done that. Right now, we're just trying to get a good feel, a good idea of how we can give a good aesthetic appearance for the matrix visual within the report. So as we see here, we have expanded the matrix visual. We are going to keep the this date slider and the stock slider, along with the list slicer and the card the count within the card visual. At least for now, we're going to remove the table visual, and we're going to bring in a clustered column chart, clustered bar chart. A clustered column chart. So as we see, we have the matrix over to the right. We've got the gauge that have got the stock information in, and the date slider, the calendar slider, right above the gauge. That date is only going to affect the stock information, because we pull that date from the calendar date or from the date in the table that's associated with the stock report. However, we can use the global calendar table that we created, and then we would see interactions between the entire table using the global calendar table. But right now, we're not gonna spend any time right now just changing that out, just letting you know that is how it could work. Then we were here looking at the column chart and seeing what the interactions were, making sure the interactions that the visualizations were interacting appropriately between the categories in the drop-down visual, in the drop-down list, slicer list, and the clustered column chart along with the matrix visual. We may keep the matrix visual over here to the right. I actually kind of like the way that this looks. And as you can see with the matrix visual, we can slide down, up and down vertically. Of course, I don't like sliding horizontally, so I try not to have matrix visuals or table visuals that slide horizontal, because the vertical slide is a lot more common, a lot more what we see when we look at, I'm just say a website. And again, I like to build out my Power BI reports as if it is a website, because the end consumer, the customer, the individual that will be looking at this report, consuming this report, will be someone that is probably going to be comparing this to a website, because a website is pretty much all, I say all they know, but it's their easiest comparison of, if it's visually pleasing, aesthetically pleasing, functionality pleasing. So that's just what we like to do. We try to make it as functional and as similar to a website as possible, so that the end consumer, the end user, would have a very good experience. Just getting an idea here as to the information we're placing in the bar. Sometimes we do have to play with that data, play with the data that we're placing in the bar, even play with the data we're placing in any visualization, but definitely in a bar or a column, because as you saw, we could have had a whole lot of information jumbled up in this particular bar chart, and that was not going to be a good look for what we were shooting for, what we are shooting for when it comes to trying to create a report here. I'm kind of digging it just a little bit, trying to, see if we want to compare two forms of data, or if you just want to compare one. Of course, when you're comparing two, you can get the multicolors. I try to stick away from the multicolors and colors at the end of the bar, using two different data parts of data. Now, I say that now, and you can come back and next week for Power Money Monday, and you'll see that I may have created something in that manner. But for the most part, what I like to do is have single color visualizations where possible. Definitely when you're talking about a pie chart, or you're talking about talking about a pie chart or a donut chart, those types of visualizations are built for multicolors. But even when using multicolors there, when I use multicolors in the pie chart or the donut chart, what I typically try to do is use a monochromatic color scheme, where the colors are very similar, like a light blue, dark blue, sky blue, royal blue, something like that. Or even using colors that are complementary to that particular color, so that the color schemes stay within the same color scheme. So as you see here, even with, and I very seldom use the standard colors that come with Power BI, just because it makes me feel like I've done something if I change it from the standard color. But to be honest, it's really no different. As you know, I do like to bring in the logos that we're using. Again, what I want to make very clear is that this is not an official Power BI report. I was not contracted by this is not an official Coca-Cola report, Power BI report. I was not contracted by Coca-Cola to create this report. Again, I am only creating this report so that we're using it in using data similar to what would be Coca-Cola data, or a bottling distribution company's data. I use Coca-Cola per se because we all know who Coca-Cola is, what Coca-Cola does, and the types of products that they produce. I didn't want to just give you a generic bottling distribution and you'd be like, well, who is a bottling distribution? What do they really do? So, now we see that we're talking about a company like Coca-Cola. It could be a company like any of Coca-Cola's competitors, or even any of the subsidiaries of Coca-Cola. But at the end of the day, what I do like to do is I like to bring the logos in for my clients, so that again, as we saw in our research phase, when we were researching using the website, the first thing that we saw when we opened up that Coca-Cola.com, the first thing we saw was what? It was the logo. It was the Coca-Cola scripted logo. So that's what I tried to use. Again, I also like to use the color schemes that are used by the company. So, if you're working with the company and you're not sure what exact colors to use within the Power BI report, ask somebody. These guys have marketing departments that's not all they do, but that is what they do, is focus on the brand, focus on the logo, focus on the brand of the organization. And just like the logo is important, the color, whatever the color is to that organization, they have I'm willing to bet you 100 to 1. If I was a betting guy, I would bet you 100 to 1 that the organization that you're building the Power BI report for has a very specific color of their logo. In addition to, they have colors that are complementary to their logo and their color scheme that they use as well. They have colors that they use as well. So ask in your meeting, ask your business analyst, hey, what are the colors that you guys use? And what I would say do is, one, you can get their entire color scheme, I forgot what it's called in the marketing department, but you can get their entire list of colors, or you can ask them specifically, hey, give me 5 or give me 10 colors, 10 of your complementary colors that you use within your organization. I would be willing to bet that if you were able to get 10 colors from these guys, in addition to their primary color, for instance, like this, I believe, they may even call this Coca-Cola Red. I don't know. But if you were able to get 10 of their colors, you probably are not going to run out of colors to use in a pie chart or in a donut chart. You're probably not going to have 10 categories. If so, you probably got to add some more colors. But, I would highly doubt that you would have more than 10. As a matter of fact, if I had more than 10 colors within a pie chart or donut chart or even a column chart or bar chart, what I would do is I would filter that visualization to where it only showed the top 10 elements within that visualization. Now, the customer could tell you, hey, we want more colors. We want to see more elements within this particular category. And at that point, you would have to show more. For instance, here on this bar chart, it would be very easy to just show the top 10 colors. I mean, the top 10, here we're looking at the count of sales ID by product ID. So we're counting the salesperson, that's the person that's making the sales by product. And I would say, hey, let's look at the top 10. Let's look at the top 10 salespersons, as opposed to looking at, it could be 1, 2, 3, it could be, I don't know, maybe 20, 30, maybe even on this, in this visualization. I would just do top 10. Now, the reason why I'm not too focused on doing top 10 right now is because it's more of the aesthetics of this particular report, to where I've got the bar chart the same height as the matrix, and it appears that the sales ID, we've maxed out the sales ID, so we don't have to worry about, well, I guess we do, because it does slide down more. I was about to say that we have all the sales IDs on here, but we don't, because I can look to the right of the bar chart and see that we can slide vertically. But I like the way that the page is coming together with the column, with the bar chart, and with the matrix vertical height, then having the column chart right below the gauge and the date slider, along with the list and the count of products right above. Now, of course, again, like I said before, what I like to do is I use a lot of monochromatic schemes. So right now, what I'm trying to make sure I have is that the visuals are actually coordinating height and width. With that said, showing, like, for instance, the category drop down list and the products, they are the same height. The gauge and the date slider, along with the column chart, they're the same width. And then we've got some aesthetics that we're working to see that, we've got distance between the column chart, similar distance between the columns, between all of the visuals to the vertical visuals to the left, the visual in the middle, and the visual in the right. Coming back over, just double checking again, going through the data view, looking at different tables that have different elements, different types of data, would have different data within them, just to make sure that we've got the formatting is correct, the data types are correct, whether if it's money, we're showing that it's a decimal. If it has more than 4 figures, we want to show it with a comma, separating 3 digits. Coming back over here now, we are going to, we better go back and we better check to see the report, and just making sure that the data within the different visualizations are matching and the values are matching, because we don't want to get too far in and then we say, oh, well, this data type does not fit this particular visualization. Okay, so we're going to format just a little bit. We're going to give this title to the visualization, and that's a package type. We've got sales by product so we got package type for the column view. We've got sales by product in the, not product view, but we've got product type in the column view, and we've got sales by product in the bar chart. And now what we want to do is we want to start formatting the visual, start formatting the page. As I said before, I like using chromochromatic color type schemes. So that goes to say, in many cases, you may see my reports with a background color other than the white background. Since Coca-Cola is red and white, I want to create a red background for Coke. I could use white. It would be super easy to create a white background because white is standard. But I kind of want to challenge myself a little bit. I see that my visualizations, I'm not able to read the columns and read the titles of the columns and read the titles of the bars and all that stuff. So we got to go back in here and we've got to format the text colors so that we are able to see the text colors through the project. And again, I do know that, well, not totally sure, but I don't think that Coca-Cola would be using blue as part of their complementary colors to their logo. So of course we're gonna make some changes there. But right now we're just going through and we are just formatting each visualization, one visualization at a time. Of course, when we format a matrix visual or format a table visual, it gets a little bit more, I'm gonna say tricky, but it's a little bit, it's even complicated. It's just you gotta know what you're doing. Because in the matrix view, in the matrix visual, the values are, the values have colors, have background colors every other row. So there's a background color for one row, then the alternating row, there's a background color. So we got to make each one of those background colors. We don't have to, but we're making each one of the background colors the same color. The alternating background and the background, we're making the same color red, so that it'll give us the appearance that the entire page is the same color red. Then we have the column, and the column would be the same scenario. So we would have to go in and we need to change the colors of the background color of the column and of the alternating background colors in the column. And of course, all of our text right now appears to be either black or regular black or a bold black. So again, we'll come back in here in just a little bit and we will format those colors. But right now, what I like to do is I like to format If I'm formatting visualizations, I like to format visualizations all at one time. If I'm formatting colors, if I'm formatting colors of the visualizations in the background of the visualizations, I like to format the background of the visualizations all at one time. If I'm formatting text colors, I like to format text colors all at the same time. And many times I would say that I would even like to format, if I'm formatting text colors of a title, I would like to format those colors of the title, of the titles of each visualization all at the same time. And then the drop downs and the list and all of that kind of stuff, I like to do all of those at the same time, just to give me some idea or some way to measure, how far I am along in the build out or the formatting of the report. So now I am formatting the color scheme. I'm formatting the text colors. So we've got the value text colors. We've got the column text colors. We still have black. It looks like that's probably as a subtitle or as a title, or not title, but as a total, either a total or subtotal colors. So we have to go in and we've got to make all of those changes. One way that we can go in and we can find out, well, we can highlight a visualization and then we can see, all the different colors within the visualization. We can go up to the top of where it says general, where the 3 ellipses, and then do expand all, so that we can see all of the different colors that are being used in that particular visualization. Looks like here in the matrix, we are pretty good, with the exception of the title, the column of the background color of the title in the matrix is still white, and the value colors in the columns the background color is still white. But we'll come back in and we'll make that change. Right now, we are over in the column chart, over in the bar chart, and we've changed the values titles to be white here in the bar chart, as well as we've changed the title of the bar chart to be a white text as well. So we're moving pretty good here. We're just going through. We found out pretty much, I believe, all of the values that are in the bar chart. Now we're over here in the column chart. We're going to change the text colors in the column chart, and just unchecking that drop down list, because we had some items that were, I'm going to say they were hidden, because we had the filter selected in the category list. So now we can see all of the items that were in those visuals right now. So what I'm doing here is I'm just going through and I'm finding the values, and I see the value color is that gray is black color. We're going to change it to white, still being in the column visual, cluster column visualization. Looks like the title was black. Now we're going to make that white. It's black. It's white. And we're coming back over to visual. We're just trying to see what is still black. And we see that color is still black. And that was the bottom, which was showing the category. So this is actually looking pretty good. It's just going to be a matter now of one, we've got to correct this column in this matrix, the matrix headers, and we got to correct the matrix headers. So there, we've changed that color to red, and the text color was already white. That's why we couldn't see the text color, because it was already white. Now the visual for the column chart. Let's see, we want to change that color from that color blue to white. We want to come over to the bar chart, and we're going to change the bar chart colors to white as well. Now let's see, here's the tricky part, because here in the gauge, we have the gauge visual, which already has white associated with the blue. Well, we know we don't want to use the blue. So Coca-Cola has black in their color schemes. I've seen black in some of their marketing, so I think that would fit well. I don't really like using black a whole lot, but that's part of their color scheme. So it's not like I'm reaching to use it. It's already there. Let's see. Let's go over to here we are trying to, what are we doing here? We're gonna go to visuals, that value in the center. We want that value to be white as opposed to that grayish color. And let's see, what's going on here? Call out value, that's what we want, call out value. There we go. So now we see that stock price is 1,023 as opposed, well, not opposed, but it's white as opposed to being gray. Now, the gauge visual, we want that background color to be white where the values are. The values are black. The background color is white, just so that we can see it, see the different colors. Now, this value in the call out for the number of products, we want that to be white as well, because that black is hard to see against the red. Well, it's not hard to see, but it's a strain for my eyes to see against that red background. Make the title red, make the title white. Now we are going over to the drop down list in the category drop down list. We got to change that title color to white as well. We probably want to change those values within that list to be white as well. So we need to go over to visuals and go to visuals, go to font color and text, and now we have white. So we're looking pretty good now. We're looking pretty good. I actually think this is a pretty nice Power BI report for sales. If we were looking at sales as a sales report for Coca-Cola. So Mr. Coca-Cola, if you're out there listening, you're out there looking, if you want to get this report, let me know. I'll send it over to you. Just send me a comment. Just leave me a comment, Mr. Coca-Cola, and I'll send you over this report. You're welcome to use it as you like. You can actually change out the data, and the report is already built for you. Let's see here. So now, just checking for other values that may not be what we want, but it appears that these guys are good. The interaction between the category list and sales, the matrix, and package type down on the column chart appears to, not package type, package type appears to be interacting. Pretty cool, pretty cool. We are going to create a marketing report along with this sales report as well. I know you guys probably are not used to me creating two reports, but given that we have so much data, and I know that Coca-Cola is is real big in marketing, so I want to show you guys as well. And it's not just Coca-Cola. I mean, if you're working for a beverage and bottling company, and you want to see how you can present to your organization as to using Power BI, why use Power BI, how to use Power BI, and what will be the benefits. You'll be able to take this same report. You can remove your logo. You can change the color to your color schemes, and you're going to get the same effect. Of course, you're not going to have the data sets here. You're going to use your own data sets from your company using your table tools or whatever. Whether you're using Oracle or whether you're using Microsoft SQL Server, it's not going to matter. Whatever your database you're using, you're going to be able to bring that data into Power BI you should be able to bring that data into Power BI and build out your Power BI report. Again, I want to be very, very clear. Power BI is my tool of choice. I don't get paid by Microsoft to sell Power BI. I do not have a contract with Microsoft. It's just that this is my tool of choice when it comes to big data, data visualizations, and business intelligence. Looks like everything is going as planned. Just trying to go through and double check before I start working on the marketing report and making sure that, you know, the colors are where what they need to be. The white is the same color that it's supposed to be. Getting an idea that the black that we're using in the gauge is coordinating well, and you know, I believe so, because I mean, you know, I actually say I've seen the black incorporated into or integrated into the Coca-Cola logo before. Double checking here again, just making sure, seeing how the integrations, the interactions are taking place between the different visuals. And as you can tell, when you have Power BI visualizations that are able to interact with one another, you're able to click in any part of the visualization and you will be able to see how those visualizations are corresponding with one another. Okay, so this is actually looking pretty good. Here we are just formatting the page, making sure everything is grouped together. It doesn't necessarily have to be grouped. I actually had a theory that I was going to try to pull off with this report initially, and I decided not to do so, just because I didn't want to make it too complicated and then you guys were like, yeah, what did he just do? But what I was going to do was use bookmarks. If you want to talk bookmarks, you can get back to me in class, or just shoot me a message or a comment, leave me a comment, shoot me a message in the portal, or hit me in class, and we can talk bookmarks. But for the most part, I really changed my mind and just decided to go with 2 different pages as opposed to having the sales presentation and the Power BI report all on the same report. It would have been kind of jazzy, kind of spiffy, but I'm going to leave that where it is. I'm not going to worry about what I'm doing here. Is I'm creating a bookmarks, but I'm just going to skip through creating the bookmarks and go right into creating the marketing report. And the marketing report is going to be using a map, so that we're using maps for different countries around the world, so that, well, not all around the world, but just maps of different countries, so that we can have a Coca-Cola challenge. Let's see here. So I'm going to bring in, I just created a separate page. And in this page, we've got a shape map. In the shape map, we're going to bring in several countries that we are going to say had a taste test. And that taste test was using Coca-Cola and its major competitor. Not really going to go too deep into the competitor, but if you know Coca-Cola, you know who that competitor is. And Mr. Competitor, don't worry. This is not a shot at you. This is just a report that I'm creating for Mr. Coca-Cola. So here we're bringing in the United States, and we're saying, hey, that there was a taste test, a taste test in the United States, and there is a taste test. Looks like this taste test is going to be in the UK. So we are going to bring in the UK, just as we created the US map, we are going to create a map of the UK. Of course, that's not the UK, so we're going to come back in. We're going to come down over in maps, and we are going to go find. Let's see. I believe that one is of the UK. We're going to do another one, and we're going to say that this one, I believe, was of Brazil. Please don't shoot me because of my accent, but this one is going to be for Brazil. So we're going to bring in the map, and then we're going to go over, and we're going to change it from the US to Brazil. Dun, 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 dun. Let's see. Yeah, so that one's going to be for Brazil. I'm just trying to get it situated to the point to where I believe these countries could be somewhat in location on a globe. Let's see. Of course, Mexico would be directly below the United States on the actual globe, but right now I am just trying to put it below. So province, territory, and let's see, we're gonna come over, and we are going, oh, this is not gonna be Mexico. This is actually gonna be Canada, which would be directly above the United States on a map, on a globe. Just trying to get some idea where these jokers are in relation to the US as we build out these marketing visuals showing taste tests. And basically what you're seeing here is the darker the color, the more concentrated dark it is, darker blue. That's saying that the taste test was more in the favor of Coca-Cola. And then where it is super light, that's saying that it's not as favorable as Coca-Cola. So the darker the blue, the more favorable the results were. The lighter the blue, the less favorable the results were. And where you see gray, there were no taste tests taken within those areas. Let's see here, we're going to bring in another one, and I believe this is the one that we created for Mexico. Dun, 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 dun. So we are going over, we're going to bring in another country, and in this country, it's a state, and the value is sum of Coke and Mexico. Yeah, so we've got the United States, we've got Mexico, we've got Canada, Brazil, and the UK. These are all the places that we have the simulated taste test taken, where we are going to be building out this particular report so that it can show the marketing team, hey, this is where we are doing extraordinary, and it's also able to show where we're not doing extraordinary, or where Coca-Cola is doing extraordinary, where Coca-Cola is not doing extraordinary, and where they could be placing a greater emphasis for marketing. So is this stuff interesting to you? Do you really want to learn Power BI? Here's the deal. I am holding a 3-day workshop, Friday, May 30th, Saturday, May 31st, and Sunday, June 1st. It's going to be 8 hours a day for 3 days, Friday, May 30th, Saturday, May 31st, and Sunday, June 1st. 8 hours of Power BI. If you want to learn a new skill, take it back to your organization, show them what they could be using and what increasing your salary, potentially, depending on what you're already making. I think this workshop could be for you. All hands on, I will be there live with you to talk you through building Power BI reports and projects. And I just like to see you there. But you do have to join the waiting list. So if you're interested and you would like to join the waiting list, follow the link below. I believe the link is the Power of the BI link, but there's only one link below. So just follow the link below and join the waiting list. You should know something within the next 72 hours. If you were selected for one of the slots, if someone else drops out and you were not selected for one of the slots, we will definitely notify you as soon as possible. But again, Power of the BI Live workshop, the cost is only $4.99, and the dates are May 30th, which is a Friday, Saturday, May 31st, and Sunday, June 1st. Again, if you're interested in learning Power BI, follow the link below, and I look forward to seeing you there. Now, back to the video. So as we are wrapping up this report, this Coca-Cola Power BI report, we are here in the marketing phase of the report, or the marketing portion of the report. The initial portion was, the initial report was for sales. Now we are finishing up the marketing piece of the report. And basically what we're showing here is we have created a simulated taste test, a simulated international taste test between Coca-Cola and its rival product, a rival company. And basically what we said was, hey, there were X number of participants and so many chose Coke and so many chose the other company. And basically what we have done here is we've taken those segments of the world, being Mexico, Canada, the UK, and Brazil, along with the United States, and we are showing what the outcomes were of the taste test. Now, initially in the report, what we were showing was the dark blue phase, or the dark blue phase being the dark blue colors of each one of the locations having the highest concentration of Coca-Cola users, or those that chose Coke. And then the lighter it became, that shows that more were choosing the rival company of Coca-Cola. Now what we're doing is we're going in and we're actually bringing in a card visual, and inside the card we are placing what was the actual outcome, what was the actual score per se of each one of the countries. So as we see here, we have Mexico, where Coke was the winner, 20,000 to 16,000. We'll do the same thing for each one of the other countries. Again, what I want you to understand is that this is only a simulated data set. This is only a simulated report. This is not a report that was used, this is not a report that was actually created for Coca-Cola. This is not a report that was created for the rival company. It only is a report that if you were, I guess, in the marketing department, or if you were creating a Power BI report for Coca-Cola, and you wanted to show how they could use, or how the company could use maps in order to visualize the outcomes of the taste test, or of a taste test, or any other type of marketing campaign, you could do so by creating map visualizations. Now, what I did here was I copied the card that shows the score for Mexico, and I copied and I pasted the card above Canada. Now, what I'm going to do is I am going to go in and grab the Canada data and place it in each one of the visuals, one for Coke and one for the rival product. So now we see we have in Canada, where it is 8,300 to 6,434, where Coke is the simulated winner. I will do that for each one of the countries. I will bring that card visual in and show a score of each one of the countries in which we are saying that there was a simulated taste test. So I'm going to copy the card visual from Canada. I'm going to paste it above the United States. Then I'm going to bring the United States data for the score into the visual. Because what you have to remember, each country has its own score. So therefore, if I keep the score where it was, it would only be showing the taste test for that particular country, and we would have duplicate data. So we have to remember, when we're working with Power BI, that even when we do copy and paste of a visualization, definitely of a visualization such as a card, we want to make sure that the card that we are pasting to is getting the correct data. Again, Power BI is as good as the information we provided, or the information that is provided. So we want to make sure that we have the correct information. So I'm going to come back over to Canada. I'm going to copy Canada's cards. I'm going to paste it above the United Kingdom's cards. And I'm going to go into the data sets, and I'm going to pull in the taste test results from the United Kingdom into each one of these cards, one for Coke and one for the rival product. And of course, you probably already know, I'm going to do the same thing for Brazil. I'm going to copy the cards from the United Kingdom. I'm going to paste those cards right above Brazil. And then I'm going to go into the data set, and I'm going to bring that data in, the simulated data that was created for Brazil. Now we've got the Coke data for Brazil, and we have the rival data for Brazil. We have the Coke data for Mexico, the United States, the UK, we have the Coke data and the rival data for the United States, Mexico, Canada, the UK, and Brazil. So now what we want to do here is now it's just a matter of formatting. We've got 4 map visualizations here on the page. We could leave them where we've got white backgrounds, and we've got white backgrounds, and we have the white backgrounds for the cards. But again, you know, I like the monochromatic look. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make all of the backgrounds for each one of the visualizations to be the same color, which is the red color, so that it appears that the page is red as opposed to being white. So I'm going through all of the cards. I've gone through all of the maps. Now I'm going to go through all of the cards, and I'm going to make all of the cards have a red background. And I want to change the text color within the cards to be white so that we can actually see it. And it's not hard to see when we have that black text against the red background. The only issue or the challenge is creating the map visuals and having the cards on the page is that there's really no bordered outline. We could create a bordered outline here, not necessarily sure if we're gonna really either have time, given that we've spent so much time on this report. But if we wanted to, we could create a bordered outline to give each one of the countries more of a distinct location on the report. Or we can kind of have it out like it is, kind of floating around a little bit. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Do you think we should create a hard border in the future? Or do you think, when I say a hard border, I mean a border around each one of the country's data and map, being the Coke information, the rival information, and then the map? Or do you think it's okay to leave it as is and kind of have the countries kind of out floating a little bit like we see here, and we got the United States in the center? So again, what we're doing is we're making all of the cards the red color. The text for Mexico is already white for the value. So we're going to make the card red so we can see, and then we definitely want to change the title of each one of those cards to be white, so that they're white we could read the text as well. We are now changing the that is what we're changing here, which I didn't really go in depth as to what we are looking at here that has the white background, but that would be part of what would have been the slide, the bookmark, but we didn't create the bookmark. I'm not going to go into what the bookmark could have done, would have done. You can Google bookmarks in Power BI if you want to go any deeper, or you could also, if you've already looked at if you're already gone through the class with the bookmarks, you already know what a bookmark is and what a bookmark does. I am not going to try and teach bookmarks in such a short period of time here. But we are wrapping up. We are looking pretty good here. We've got the visualizations of each one of the countries. We have the indication as to what the actual colors mean when it comes to the countries. We are formatting now each visualization so that the text within the visualizations would be white, so it could pop out better with that red background. We changed the text the call out values to white as well, so that it could pop out a little better. Pop out better, not even a little better, but pop out better when it comes to that red background. We still, okay, we've got the United States is white, the UK, we need to change that title to white. United Kingdom. So it appears now that all of the text is white. When we select a state or a province within countries, we see that that information is interacting with the actual vote count, score count of the marketing data. So we can double click, we can see now the entire country. We can, let's see here. There's some things going on when we select the UK. We can figure that out later. We're not going to try to go in and try to troubleshoot too much there. We see that it is working from a grand scheme of things. Now, what I want to do is, of course, I want to use the colors of the organization. And I don't believe that blue is a color for Coca-Cola. So I am going to change it from shades of blue to shades of red. Now it's kind of funny doing shades of red, given that the background is already red, but we'll get this figured out. Let's see, color works. And it's coming together now. It's coming together. I had too much red on here at first, so I had to give change the color of the minimum just a little bit so that we wouldn't have so much of a red color, and went with the white. So now it's a little bit more white. So now we're seeing more red and white in our map visualizations than the blue. And again, we're getting some funky things happening here. I know it's an easy fix. I don't really want to really spend a whole lot of time again trying to troubleshoot what that fix is. But if we just come back and we're going to be able to double click on one of our map visuals, and it's going to give us the right information. It's going to give us the information we're looking for again, as we have here. I'm really kind of digging this. Again, if you think we should provide a border around each one of the country and its taste test data, leave me a comment or leave me a message in the class portal. I'm very interested to know what you would do. You could actually finish this out as well. Definitely, if you have the data set, you can create this as well and then send me a screenshot of how you created your marketing visualizations for Coca-Cola. Now what I'm working with now is really more so of data, real estate, visualizations, real estate, the aesthetic piece of just trying to make sure everything is in the right place. It could be pretty cool if I popped out the United States, but you know, I really kind of like this flat look, so I'm gonna keep it flat here. I think a marketing department really could use this look, this Power BI report for probably any of their campaigns. It would probably be helpful in any of their campaigns, and definitely insightful. So now it's just a matter now of creating the look and feel. I think we're getting very, very close to the look and feel of what we are looking for here in this report, making the United States just a little bit bigger, even though I think the rest of the countries are not proportionate. But we're not in the business of creating world maps. We're in the business of data visualizations and Power BI. So, you know, we'll take that charge if any of the countries feel like they should be bigger here than the United States. I'm okay with that. Totally understandable. Gonna give it a little title because we've got a lot of real estate, a lot of unused real estate. So we're gonna give this page a title. I don't normally give a whole lot of titles to pages because it does take up real estate. But you know, sometimes I do, and in this particular case, I am. I'm gonna create a title. I'm gonna try to make it a one-line title. See here is still wrapping around 2 lines. So what I want to see, okay, so we got here, and then what I'll do is I'll just drag it over to the left a little bit. Right here. Yeah, I don't know. How about right here? Could be. Let's change the font color to white, and let's change the background color to red. Let's see, field colors, general effects, font, boom. What are we getting here? We just need to highlight, the whole thing. What colors? Let's see. I think we need to highlight background red. Yeah. Then we probably need to highlight all the text for the font. Red. Yeah, we need to highlight the whole thing. Now make all of that white. Yeah, I think we're getting there now. I think we're getting there. So this is pretty much wrapping up our video on the Coca-Cola Company. And if you guys are interested, if you were interested in learning Power BI, again, jump over or follow the link below in the description below. And I'm holding a 3-day workshop, May 30th, May 31st, and June 1st in Dallas, Texas. The cost is only $499. If you're interested, join the wait list and you will get information in regards to seating. If there's still seating remaining, you'll get your information within 48 hours. If not, and seating does come back up, if someone drops out, you'll get that seat. You'll get notified of that as well. So, once again, thank you for joining in, and I look forward to seeing you win again in the next video.